Welcome to the JP8 Report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 Report, episode 382. And after three outlines, I finally got it figured out. I just finished printing something off. Man, I tell you what, when you're doing this, like Dan Bongino said this morning, he was telling someone, like, I'm thinking about getting in a podcast, and should I just record it or should I do it live? And he said this morning, there ain't nothing like doing it live. Because if you I'm afraid I'm going to make a mistake. Well, he said, if you make a mistake, just own up to it later on. I mean, no one's perfect, but there ain't nothing like doing it live, like I am doing it here. I would say about, I'm on episode 382. I would say about 300 of mine are all live. The beginnings were pretty much all taped, and a couple other ones were taped, but the vast majority of mine are like at least 300 of, maybe more, are all live. And I love doing it. I mean, I could probably be a TV reporter. No. Yeah. And I was watching him this morning, and I was talking to retired Rob 53, but he's not on it right now. But I was telling him a while ago because Bongino was on. I was watching it. All of a sudden, there's breaking news. And Justin shifted the camera over to his side view television because, I have mine right here behind me. But, I froze. I got mine right here behind me. But his is like over this way, I believe. And they shifted the camera over to look at it, and breaking news on Fox, and was showing the Supreme Court thing. So my title of my podcast this afternoon, was going to be, and I was like, oh, this is going to be great. My wife, she's doing some shop hop thing for quilting and sewing, right? And she even loved the title, Seashells by the Seashore. That's what it was, because I'm like, yep, I'm going to hammer James Comey because he is a no good slug bag. And about 20 minutes after 9 or so, boom, there it went. and then boom, there it went again, because there was two Supreme Court rulings that came out today, big ones. One was 6-3 and the other was 9-0, unanimous. I mean, when you get a unanimous ruling on the First Amendment, that is something else, because the 9-0 ruling dealt with a blue state, New Jersey, for pro-life rights, and it was 9-0, 9-0. New Jersey got hurt bad, but yeah, we're going to get all of that, and there's a whole lot of news. But I got to stick to my outline, or I'm gonna screw myself over, because I got to stay in the habit of going down what I have planned. So we still got the America 250 and Iran update, and then we're going to get into the rest of it, starting with the Supreme Court stuff instead of Seashells by the Seashore, which I would love to use. I can't do that, because something else is going to happen tomorrow too, right? All right, so welcome to the JP8 Report. Click the follow button if you're not already following the podcast. Give me a like for the day's show. All right, this one was hard to put together, and then chat. But don't have no chatters in it right now. I know I got Covite for Life. He's probably gonna be jumping in like super soon, and then we have retired Rob 53. Both of those are my regulars, quote unquote, hall monitors. Let's get some action going in there. Have some fun. We're only 4 minutes into the podcast. Let's make it happen. Okay. So, America 250. I have a proclamation from George Washington. It was for the day, 29 April 1776. and proclamation of intercourse with British warships. Whereas at intercourse and correspondence with the ships of war and other vessels belonging to and in the service of the King of Great Britain is highly detrimental to the rights and liberties of the said colonies. And whereas the Committee of Safety in the Colony of New York, taking the same under consideration on the 18th, did resolve in order that no inhabitant of said colony or any pretense or for any purpose whatsoever, either in person or in writing, should directly or indirectly presume to have or maintain any intercourse whatsoever with any ship belonging to or employed in the service of said king, uh, or with any of his officers or ministers, or any person or persons aboard the same, on pain of being dealt with in the severest manner. Not so which, not so standing which, there is reason to believe that sundry base and wicked persons, preferring their own present private emolument in the country's will, having continued to carry on the same, particularly some who, under pretense of coming to the market of this city by water, have put themselves, their vessels, and effects in the way of the ships of war for the purposes of giving intelligence and furnishing them with supplies of provision, and have been taken to the end that such evil and pernicious practices have been remedied and prevented in the future. I hereby publish and declare that if any person or persons shall hereafter presume to have hold and to continue to carry on such intercourse or any kind of correspondence whatsoever, or furnish and supply the said ships of war and any other vessels in the service with provisions and necessities of any kind, that he or they so offending will be deemed and considered as an enemy or enemies of the rights of said colonies, and if apprehended will be treated accordingly. And I do hereby will and require all officers and soldiers in the army under my command, and most earnestly entreat all persons we attach to the interests of said colonies to use their utmost care and diligence for preventing the same, and apprehending and securing all persons who shall be guilty thereof, given under my hand at headquarters in the city of New York this 29th day of April, Anno Domini, which is AD 1776, George Washington. Okay, that was good because it effectively ended all communication between British loyalists and the colonists that are trying to survive fighting said loyalists, right? And anytime you give intel, loose lips sink ships, and that's what they're doing. Good. No food, water, correspondence, anything whatsoever. It's all cut off. Did you know in 1783 the last British soldiers that left the United States after the treaty was signed was New York City? All right, just so you know. All right, so here we go. And for our next trick, the armament shop. Whether you're looking for your first firearm, upgrading your setup, or need expert service, Jason at the Armament Shop is Copper's Cove's premier source of all things shooting. Browse our wide selection of pistols, rifles, and shotguns, backed by top-tier gunsmithing for repairs, along with reloading supplies and professional cleaning to keep your firearm in peak condition. Need a transfer? We make FFL transfers fast, easy, and affordable. Need your concealed handgun license? Jason can handle those classes. He has over 3 decades of experience. Visit the Armament Shop today at 115A West Avenue D in Coppers Cove, Texas, or call or text 254-560-2023. Or you can reach them at www.armamentshop.com. That's www.armamentshop.com. The Armament Shop, your safety, our priority. All right, cool. All right, here we go. JP8 report. Come on, guys, let's get some data going in the live chat. All right, or give me some comments. Both of them works. What's the day? The day is the 29th. I should find out today or tomorrow if I get to go back into the creator program, give it another try. And we're just ramping up. We're getting good viewership. And just thank y'all very much for the support. Just bear with me, and we're going to do good here, okay? Just keep going. We're getting closer to the 4th of July, which is awesome. So we got Armed Forces Day coming up in the middle of May. We have Memorial Day coming up in the middle of May. And most of y'all that know me know I've got 5 buddies that lost their life in the line of duty downrange and here at Fort Hood. You'll never forget those guys ever, and you will know about it on Memorial Day. Then we have Flag Day coming up in June, which is the president's birthday, the anniversary of Bunker Hill. And then we get into July, all right, and getting toward America 250. Lots of events coming up that the president's got going for us, which is great, all right? Just a little heads up what's going on. Iran update, Operation Epic Fury. We are still in the ceasefire. I don't know how much longer that thing's going to last, but we'll see. Iran's uranium is reportedly deep underground at the Iftataz site. I think Iftataz. I might have pronounced that way wrong. Trump eyes a longer blockade if necessary to punish Iran until they figure out that they need to sign a non-nuclear deal. All right. The chairman of the Joint Staff and Sec War were before the House of Representatives this morning, giving their 60-day update about what's going on in Iran and the upcoming budget that they have to put together, $1.5 trillion budget. Sec War, Pete Hegseth was saying that the priority for the department is, man, I just heard something in the background. The priority for the department is to rebuild our munitions that we've been using and what we were short of. But when the president came into the presidency January 2025, because we were short. Biden was not, Otto Penn was not redoing our military. He was using stuff and not replenishing it. He was giving so much stuff to the Ukraine, but we weren't stockpiling our munitions for our defense. So we have to get that fixed, or we're going to set ourselves up for failure. All right. I saw a report last week that was talking, and we're way off track now, that we used over half of our Patriots interceptors have been used or half in stock. That's all. That's our war reserve is 50%. That's unacceptable to me, to you, to the generals, everyone. That's unacceptable stockage right there. When I was a private in the Army, I was signal. I was a combo guy, but I was in an air defense unit. And back in like '88, we had to go through this thing called the Patriot Fire Control Simulator, right? Learn how to fire Patriot missiles. Because the commanding general for 3rd and 2nd Army Air Defense Command said, every one of my soldiers under my command, whether they're air defense or not, will be qualified to fire Patriot missiles, because you don't know what happens if the Russians would have crossed the border into West Germany, right? And they told us that, this was a long, long time ago, they told us that if the war started in Western Europe, we would be out of missiles in, I believe, 72 to 96 hours. And after that, we would become infantrymen. We need to get out of that realm. We need to have weeks of missiles at our disposal to defend ourselves. All right. And we should be a 1-for-1 replacement theory, or 1-for-2. We fire one, we get two in return, or something like that, until we have adequate stockage for our defense. All right. So backwards. I'm running backwards. Trump tells Iran to sign a non-nuclear deal soon. All right. I'm sure there's going to be more come out about that. House briefing. I think they got to go to the Senate this afternoon, or the Senate tomorrow morning. All right. Bahrain leaves OPEC on May 1st. I reported about that yesterday. They'll be leaving OPEC and OPEC Plus. All right. Iran, one of Iran's MPs, that's a member of parliament, warns Bahrain about against allying with the United States. Flat out, over the threshold warning what will happen to them. As they're all talking about, no, not Bahrain, United Arab Emirates. Why did I say Bahrain? Wow. UAE. Correct my notes. See what I was telling you about doing live and making mistakes? Wow. Okay. So, yeah. Ukraine, the UAE, United Arab Emirates, is leaving OPEC on May 1st. Boy, I hope I didn't break any news to the wrong people. Wow. And then an Iranian MP warned the UAE about allying with the United States. All right. But if you look at it, the United Arab Emirates absorbed over over 1,500 missiles and drones over the course of all the combat that was going on just a couple of weeks ago. 1,500. Well, that's a lot. And I don't even want to know what Qatar and Bahrain absorbed, because that was a lot. And that stuff has to be replaced. You can guarantee that they're already building a list to give to the Department of War, and then goes over to Congress to approve, so they can buy more munitions from the United States for their protection. Gulf countries are warning Iran about threats from about the Strait of Hormuz, like with the mine laying. The IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, discovered a Hezbollah tunnel system in southern Lebanon. And then the Iranian leaders, or whoever they think they are leaders, there's no strategy. So that's probably why there's been no ceasefire accord signed with the United States yet, because they can't figure out who's in charge and where to go from there. All right. So Brent crude oil right now is at $118.21 a barrel. This time yesterday, it was only $110 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate, right now, it's at $106.35 a barrel. And yesterday at this time, it was at $99.53 a barrel. And then the Dow Jones right now is minus 321.47 at 48,820.46. All right. That's your Iran update. All right. So what we got going on here? Got the usual people. All right. Is Rob or Richard on board yet? So, like I was talking about, let me get my papers here. Okay, so first one, the big one, the absolutely largest Supreme Court ruling I think has come out this year. Okay, it's about voting. Louisiana had created in 2024 a black majority, and there's nothing wrong with black people. I grew up here. I have no problem with them. I'm a Christian. We're all the same. But what Louisiana did under their Democrat governor they had with they reapportioned um, a second congressional district that was majority minority. It was black minority, and they made it a majority congressional district, and they got sued and taken to court. It made its way to district court, the Fifth U.S. Court of Appeals, and it went to the Supreme Court. Right. Um, the arguments were heard, I believe, in October. I think October, March. Okay, regardless, I haven't got into reading this yet, but so the arguments were made and they deliberated. Nothing leaked. Thank goodness, nothing leaked out. Um, but this morning they released their their ruling on this, and they ruled on a 6-3 division that it is that part of the Voting Rights Act was unconstitutional, and it's discriminatory to have a majority minority congressional district, because in the Constitution, congressional districts are based on population, not by race, right? It has to be fair for all people, right? Not by specific, like in California. This is probably going to affect California too, because they purposely took Hispanic population groups, liberal leaning Hispanic groups in Los Angeles County and stuff, and they divided their new congressional districts into liberal districts, but they were making Hispanic majority minority districts to circumvent Republicans from being able to maintain their seats. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. There was one person on Fox that said it could number all the way up to 70 congressional districts that have to be readjusted by this summer before November's election. That's how important this is. Now, I heard, I think it was Dana Perino. I think it was on. She was on Fox, I think, a little while ago, and no, it was Miss Urban. I think it was. She said it's more like uh, 17 to 27 congressional districts that are affected. We'll see, because there's going to be a lot of action happening on this matter whatsoever. So let's see. I'm going to read this one because I like reading stuff from Fox News. Okay, so what do y'all think here? I'm going to put an American flag in here because the Supreme Court is important. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, right? All right. So the Supreme Court on Wednesday limited the scope of a key Voting Rights Act provision that restricts how states draw affecting minority voters, constraining states' use of race as a factor when drawing congressional maps ahead of the 2026 midterms. The 6-3 ruling narrows how states can consider race when drawing maps, a shift that could affect the minority representation in multiple states and trigger a new wave of legal challenges over congressional boundaries. The decision maintains the current legal standard for redistricting disputes nationwide, likely sustaining existing maps in several states and shaping how future challenges unfold in federal courts. The case, Louisiana versus Calais, was first argued last March before the Supreme Court and centered on whether Louisiana's 2024 congressional map, which added a second majority black district, amounted to an unconstitutional racial gerrymander. The dispute reached the High Court after months of legal back and forth, including oral arguments last March and a rare second round of arguments last October, focused on whether Louisiana's map and created a second majority black district under the Voters' Rights Act violated the 14th or 15th Amendment to the Constitution. Conservative justices appeared skeptical during October's arguments about keeping Section 2 of the VRA in place, that'd be the Voting Rights Act, as is, and pressed the lawyer for the NAACP on whether she believed there should be a time duration limit on the intentional use of race in drawing voting districts under the law. During those arguments, Justice Kavanaugh and other conservatives on the High Court appeared open to the idea that Congress, in passing the 1965 Voting Rights Act, may have intended a sort of a sunset period for Section 2, allowing it to weaken over time. That possibility was invoked by Kavanaugh several times during oral arguments as he pressed lawyers for the state of Louisiana NAACP for more specifics. Hashim Mopan, the principal duty solicitor general, told the court the congressional map in Louisiana that was drafted in response to Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act could be construed as a reverse partisan gerrymander and one that is also based on purely racial considerations. Meanwhile, the NAACP lawyer, Janae Nelson, argued that the case on behalf of black voters, told the High Court that siding with Louisiana's request to reverse the map would be a staggering reversal of precedent, which she said would throw the maps across the country in chaos. But fair is fair, right? No matter what. It shouldn't be based on race. Man, the ruling from the High Court has long been expected to have major implications in future elections. Critics have warned in recent months that weakening the VRA would further erode protections for minority voters under the Voting Rights Act at a time when several Republican-led states have attempted to aggressively push through new congressional maps ahead of time. They argued the filings to the Supreme Court for non-black voters failed to show a direct harm required for equal protection. The claims to prove race was the main factor in redrawing the map. And then we finish with, but lawyers arguing the case on behalf of NAACP and black voters in the state have warned that a ruling in favor of Louisiana could have a staggering impact on races in 2026 and beyond. In a recent report from the Non-Voters Fair Fight Action and Black Voters Matter Fund estimates that an overhaul of the VRA could swing an estimated 12 Democrat-held seats in favor of Republican candidates. I look at it like this, right? Like I said earlier, the Constitution says during reapportionment should be based on population. It does not mention race in there at all, because if you did that, you'd have little fiefdoms all over the country. You'd have like 35 black ones. You'd have about 75 Hispanic ones. You'd have about 10 Asian ones. You'd have a whole bunch of white ones. But then they'll be all looking out for the considerations of each race of people in our country, right? Well, what you should be doing is you base it on political considerations and population. That's the whole basis of apportionment of House seats in the United States House of Representatives. The VRA, and I think I agree with what Justice Kavanaugh was saying, but maybe there was a sunset intended for the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, because over time, people would get used to co-locating with each other. Black, white, brown, purple, pink and dot, whatever, right? As we all learned to live with this from 1965 onward, we'd be one big melting pot, which what we should be, right? There's no sense of political violence or racial hatred toward each other, because we're all one family as it is, and we should treat each other fairly. That's the Christian way of doing things. But as things transgress, you get more and more used to it. So at that time, and this is sounding like a word salad, you get used to living with each other, and it makes it that much easier to adjust your congressional districts. All right. I hope that's not clear as mud, but this is going to affect Virginia. This will affect California. It will definitely affect New York. It'll affect Illinois, and a whole slew of, like they said, the NAACP said 12 seats, but it's more like going to be probably 25, maybe a little bit more. And that one lady was saying upwards to 70, right? We will see, and lots going to happen, and it has to happen quick, all right? Okay, so this is the one from the New York Post. It says the Supreme Court struck down Louisiana's congressional map Wednesday, finding the Pelican State unconstitutionally added a second majority black House district in a major decision with implications for further elections. Louisiana has been forced by lower courts to create a second majority black district in 2024 to comply with Section 2. The Trump administration, state officials challenged the new map, arguing it was racial gerrymandering in violation of the 14th Amendment, the Equal Protection Amendment, which guarantees all citizens equal protection under the law. The High Court agreed, all 6 conservative justices voting to get rid of the 2024 boundaries. However, the majority opinion by Justice Samuel Alito stopped short of finding Section 2 of the VRA unconstitutional, as many activists had feared. If these were white Democrats, there would be no reason to think we would have a second district. None. Principal Deputy Solicitor General Hashim Mupon told the court during the oral arguments past October. And so what is happening here, the argument is, because these Democrats happen to be black, they get a second district. If they were all white, we would all agree they wouldn't get the same, which is right, because they're supposed to be treated fairly. Roughly 1/3 of Louisiana residents are African American. The state's only 2 Democrat lawmakers in Congress, compared to 4 House Republicans, were all elected from majority black districts. The justices initially took to Louisiana's case during the 2024, in a rare move. We know about that. They had the March and then they had October. So nothing else is new on that. So we shall see, like most rapidly, how the political landscape is going to be changing. All right. So that's case 1. Now for case number 2. All right. 35 minutes in, and I still haven't got back to my original outline here. All right. Anybody in the chat that wants to give me an American flag or give a comment on that Supreme Court ruling? All right. So that being said, the next case dealt with a pro-life group in groups in New Jersey. I'm just going to straight out read this, okay? The case was brought, the Supreme Court unanimously sided with a group of faith-based pregnancy centers on Wednesday that challenged the New Jersey Attorney General investigation into whether the centers misled donors and the public about steering women away from having abortions. The case was brought by First Choice Women's Resource Centers, a group of 5 Christian-based facilities in New Jersey that provide various prenatal services to women facing unplanned pregnancies. The Supreme Court found the state investigation violated the center's First Amendment rights, handing a victory to a pro-life movement, which had argued the probe rattled the center's donors. The opinion was narrow, finding that the First Choice is now able to sue over the state's investigation in federal court. The First Choice had argued that then Attorney General Matt Plankin, a Democrat, had issued baseless subpoenas to the pregnancy centers for donor information. Plankin had contended that the facilities represented a consumer fraud concerns that the state had broad authority to investigate. Justice Gorsuch, who authored the opinion, agreed with First Choice, saying the state issued subpoenas breached the First Amendment. An official demand for private donor information is enough to discourage the reasonable individuals from associating with the group. It is enough to discourage groups from expressing dissident views, Gorsuch wrote. The High Court's majority rebuked Plankin, saying his probe did not align with long-standing court precedent. And you're talking about there are liberal justices in this decision that agreed that the Democrat Attorney General in New Jersey way overstepped his bounds. Over and over again, we have held those demands burdens to exercise the First Amendment rights, Gorsuch wrote, disputing none of these precedents but seeking ways around them. The Attorney General has offered a variety of arguments. Some are old, some are new, but none succeeds. Current New Jersey Attorney General Jennifer Davenport downplayed the ruling in a statement provided to Fox News. She says, today's procedural decision only holds that First Choice can pursue its challenge to our subpoena, not that its challenge should prevail. Davenport said, the New Jersey law makes clear that nonprofits cannot deceive or defraud New Jerseyans. We look forward to defending our subpoena in court, and we will continue to enforce our fraud laws without fear or favor. They're like the whole pregnancy center. If you go in there, you know that they're going to talk to you about keeping your baby. Flat out. What's the argument here? Unless they got this pro-death attitude in these liberal states that they want to exercise abortions on demand whenever and however possible. That's what. Instead of giving that human being a chance to live, maybe becoming president one day. New Jersey, the Attorney General targeted First Choice, a ministry that provides parenting classes, free ultrasounds, baby clothes, and more to its community simply because of its pro-life views, Hawley said. That is blatantly unconstitutional. Haley, however, noted that if Davenport planned to continue the state's fight in federal court, ADF lawyers are looking forward to representing First Choice's case. Thank you. ADF is a really good Christian-based legal organization. And then and Fox News met with First Choice's executive director, Amy Huber, in New Brunswick at one of the counseling centers just ahead of oral arguments last fall, where she said donors are kept are kept. The cinders are afloat for 4 decades. That Plankin's probe was designed to cripple the facilities because, a vast majority of these people, they are afraid that if their names get out, their businesses are crushed and or they might lose their jobs. And I fully agree with that. Keep those donors private, right? Um, what do y'all think about that one? I mean, that was a First Amendment case right there. All right. I fully agree that now they'll be able to sue the state of New Jersey and over the First Amendment, and then also hopefully they'll win. I know they'll win. They will win. Depends on, like you said. You know what? I bet this case ends up back in the Supreme Court because I could see it because they're in unless they get in a part of New Jersey that's more moderate to conservative. If they put it like in Jersey City, New Jersey, or Newark, New Jersey, it's all going to be all state wins automatically, and so it's probably going to end up back in the Supreme Court. But yeah, so those were two cases in the Supreme Court that was. That had very good turnout today. And let's see, the day is Wednesday, so there might be another release of cases tomorrow. If not, we'll have to wait till next week. All right. Next is, oh my goodness, it didn't make it in. Hold on just a second. Give me a second here. All right. So the case that I can't find, the case is the missing article. So the next one that blew my U.S. military storms ship suspected of sailing to Iran in direct violation of blockade. Oh wow! All right. So give me a second here. Yep, there we go. Okay. So the other one is about Turning Point USA. All right. Um, so if y'all remember, Savannah Hernandez a few weeks ago was pummeled while she was trying to film a protest going outside of, I believe, an ICE facility in Minneapolis, and some big white guy uh, came up from behind her and clipped her like a chop block, and you see in football. That's illegal because it'll hurt people, right? And so two people was indicted in an assault against her. Uh, the federal grand jury handed down indictments for two individuals connected to the assault of Turning Point USA reporter Savannah Hernandez at a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement protest in Minneapolis earlier this month at the beginning of April. The suspects were indicted Tuesday. Federal sources say Fox News Digital, through their names, have not yet been released. The source said the indictment was expected to be unsealed later today. The incident happened April 11th outside the Whipple Federal Building where a protest was taking place, and everyone else know what happened because she was filming it, and they just assaulted her. And hopefully there'll be a few more indictments come down because there was more than just two people involved in this. All right, so let me get back to where I was at. We are almost back to where we are at. All right, so okay, so seashells by the seashore. James Comey, please let this go to trial because he construed a threat. And I was saying this morning. Nobody put seashells together on a beach and puts an arbitrary number on it, or are you going to put 8675, 8675 309 or something like that? As a Jenny's number or something like that. But yeah, who's going to get a concurrent selection of seashells and put 8647 on it? Am I dumb or what? Is he that much of a fool that he's going to be just walking down the beach and said 8647? Really? I mean, there's nowhere else around there. So if there was a collection of numbers put on the beach, I'm sure they would have taken pictures of all of them too. But they only took pictures of that one stack of numbers. And then he said his wife thought it was an address. But like Vince said this morning, where was the street name? I mean, would you have at least put the street name with the numbers of the address? Is it a combination for a master lock? Is it your lucky number, your pick 4 for the lottery? What? Stupid is as stupid does. He put the thing on Instagram. Look, I'm 57 years old. He's older than me, I believe, right? How does he even know what Instagram is? My daughter set me one up for my business that I used to have. I never used it. It's stupid, right? But he got indicted yesterday for knowingly and willfully making a threat to take the life or inflict bodily harm upon the President of the United States and knowingly and willfully transmitting a communication in interstate and foreign commerce that contained a threat to kill President Donald J. Trump. President Donald Trump. That's what the indictment said. The move follows a wave of criticism from Republicans and Democrats who viewed the post as a veiled threat. It is in the slang often used in the service industry. 86. I don't know. Have to even tell people 86 is to remove, to off, to kill. Yeah, I'm going to go 86 person and stuff like that. Him being the director of the FBI should understand the consequences of such actions, unless he thinks he's entitled to be able to say whatever. And like, you're not supposed to yell fire in a theater, that kind of thing. And like, is he that stupid and naive, or is he that just corrupt and evil? You're looking at a man that back in 2017 sent 2 FBI agents to corner, convince, and have Lieutenant General Michael Flynn lie to them during the interview, and didn't say it was the interview on record. They said, can we just sit down and talk about stuff for a little bit? And he said, oh, sure, come on down. And that's what got him fired. He set an administration official up. Now, if the president would not have fired him, how bad would it have gotten in the administration before he finally got fired? Would he have tried to march FBI agents into the Oval Office to arrest the president? I mean, do you think that might even be possible? Who would have been brave enough to, like, well, I'm just going to go into the White House? I mean, he is that arrogant that thinks he can. From what I read on Arctic Frost, the motion was already set to set the president up to get him out of office as soon as possible. We already saw that the first impeachment case was totally fraudulent, and that they're going to try to expunge it from the record. And then the second one is just as bad. Both of those need to be totally expunged from the record, because he did absolutely nothing wrong in both of them. The Democrats just hate the president that much that they are going to exert any. If we lose the midterms, to the House, we're not going to lose the Senate. We won't. We're going to, after this Supreme Court ruling that came out, it will be what do you call it? It will be a sure thing that we win the Senate, but in the House, we should be able to keep the House. But if we don't keep the House, you can best believe that Hakeem, the evil man, Jeffries, that believes you keep threatening the president no matter what, and with his flaming hands, how he wants to talk to everybody. But you can best believe impeachment. There'll be an impeachment committee set up when they organize the House, and they will be looking to impeach President Trump within about a month after the second part of the legislative session. I can believe that would be happening. So James Comey, you can rot in that jail cell. I really don't care for the way you've treated the Constitution, with what they did to General Flynn, the way you treated President Trump, and countless other people. You probably like I watch the show FBI on TV. Countless times have I watched that, and I've seen how many civil rights were destroyed by the FBI agents in there. I can best bet he was part of that crowd during his tenure as FBI director. He did not care about civil rights. This is why, like right now, tomorrow tomorrow's the scheduled end date for the extension of the 702s for the FISA court. Me, I care less. They can terminate that law, and I would not shed a tear at all. Right? At all. I care less about James Comey. He can rot. All right. Let's talk about this one real quick. Yesterday, it was put out. There's an indefinite hold right now on the referendum that was held in Virginia to take it from 6 Democrat, 5 Republican to 10 Democrat, 1 Republican in the state of Virginia. And after this ruling right here, because of what happened in Fairfax, because of how Fairfax was used to liberalize the entire 5 congressional districts inside of, and plus more inside of Virginia. I could see that. That's why they put a hold on it, along with how they violated the state's constitution and the laws of the land inside there. That right now, the referendum in which 3 million people voted in is tabled. So as it stands right now, the same congressional districts are going to stay. Now, Miss Urban on Fox News said that don't get your hopes up that it's all totally over with yet, because things can change. She said, just hold your horses, pull back on those reins. Right? She told that to Bill Hemmer. All right, not the pull back on the reins part, but the Supreme Court justices in Virginia laid into the yes camp and put them on the spot, and it showed that their true colors was just a straight power grab and not make fairness into the put fairness into the system of the people of Virginia with their congressional districts. All right. All right. So, and then at the same time, there's a group that's investigating. They did a FOIA. They want to know about the mail-in ballots that were discovered at the last minute from Fairfax area. About almost 8 o'clock at night on election night, 800. about 8 o'clock, over 100,000 mail-in votes were counted, which they should have already have been counted, but 800, over 100,000 were put into the system, which flipped the no's from being positive to the yeses being positive on a winning note, right? The yeses ended up winning by 3%, I think it was, but it shows how and where were these votes secured in the 6 weeks of early voting that they had. And 6 weeks is crazy. Here in Texas we have like 10 days, right? Get your mail-in ballot in, you're done. And we have restrictions. But they had 6 weeks of early voting that you could mail in a mail-in ballot. You could have walked to the voting booth and answered yes or no, right? And then they were talking about, but yeah, so it was unusual reports of improprieties. So hopefully, within a week, we'll get a resounding victory for the no camp. All right. Daniel Webster from the Florida 11th congressional district, he announced that he's going to be retiring. Don't believe the hype that he was actually forced out or anything. He is in his 16th year as a representative. That's 8 congressional terms. He has like 24 grandchildren he wants to get back to. All right. Being in Congress is not meant to be a permanent job, and he's done his time, and they'll find a replacement for him. But he announced that he is going to be retiring in January from the Congress. All right. All right. Ilhan Omar. If you didn't know, about a year ago, she was introducing a bill that she wrote and that she sponsored. And it was, what was the name of that bill? Neighbors Not Enemies Act. That was an immigration bill to thumb her nose at the president, right? It failed. But she was reading from some prepared remarks, and she was talking about World War XI because she read it straight through. This is supposed to be a highly intelligent, educated woman representing the Somali community. See, there we go with the voting rights stuff, right? Hopefully that congressional district will be adjusted. But she actually said World War XI, and then she caught herself a few seconds later and said, "Oh, that's World War II." Man, but she went through college, she went through school, and over and over again in history class you hear World War I, World War II, and you don't correlate World War and the number 11 at all, ever. You put 2 I's right beside World War, and you're automatically going to say World War II. This tells me she doesn't understand what she's saying. She might be English as a second language, which that might present a problem with her being in Congress. And then what else? Oh, she doesn't know Roman numerals, and she doesn't know her history. And I'll say that multiple times because what were we supposed to have? World War One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11? Or we just had World War One and World War II. And hopefully we never have World War III, right? That would be 3 marks. Or in her world, it could be World War 111. Let's try it like that, all right? So another stupid is a stupid does person. Hopefully someone will finally challenge her and get her out of Congress, along with her and Sandy Cortez, AKA AOC. Right, I'm going to keep the rest of these for tomorrow. Okay, so this coming Saturday here in Gatesville, Texas, we got a meet and greet and a Coryell County Republican Party meeting starting at 11, going to 1. The Coryell County Republican Party meeting will probably go from 1 to about 1:30, right? And then we're out of there. And then on May 12th, we have another meet and greet at Giovanni's in Copper's Cove. That will be at 6 p.m. on that one because it's a Tuesday night. All runoff candidates are invited to attend, right? In both places at the feed mill on this coming Saturday at 11 a.m. and at Giovanni's at 6 p.m. on the 12th. And that will be in conjunction with the Coppers Cove Conservative Club's monthly social. We bound together for this one so we can actually try to get more people to show up that are involved in Republican politics and want to learn more about their potential new uh, um, commissioner from County Commissioner Seat 2 and Precinct 4 and a county judge. There are two incumbents in those. You have Judge Miller, he's an incumbent, and we have Commissioner Weddle, he's an incumbent also. All right. So that's the one again right there. I forgot to hit camera. Okay, I'm back. All right. So that's what's coming up. And also this coming Saturday is municipal election day for the state of Texas. And Killeen and Lampasas. And I do believe there's a couple of bond elections in an event in Gatesville, I think. But yeah, make sure you get out there to vote because last day early vote was yesterday. And then for the runoffs, we have early vote will be the 18th to the 22nd of May. And then early vote, the runoff election day is May 26th, which is the day after Memorial Day. So you need to make sure you get out there and do your early vote and get it over with because most people are going to have a long weekend and they're going to completely forget about what's going to happen on the 26th. All right. And then just to let you know, I'm supporting Bo French for Railroad Commission, and I'm supporting Mays Middleton for Attorney General, and I'm supporting Ken Paxton for the U.S. Senate. All right. All right. So that being said, let's get ready for the JP's morning brief tomorrow morning at 6:30. I'm sure we'll have plenty of stuff there for this. Okay. Okay. So I hope y'all have a great afternoon. And yeah, have a great afternoon. I'll talk to y'all later. This is James Pierce with the JP8 report. I will catch you on the flip side. I'm out.